Okay, hi everybody. Before I get into the lecture today, I just want to tell you we're doing the third in this series, and today we'll be trying to get into the concept of codependency and technology. I want to start by doing a reading. I picked a reading from March 28th. And again, most of my readings I'm doing are on balance because it's kind of the theme I want to use for this whole series. Seek balance. Balance emotions with reason. Combine detachment with doing our part. Balance giving and receiving. Alternate work with play, business with personal activities. Balance tending to our spiritual needs with tending to our other needs. Juggle responsibilities to others with responsibility to yourself. Balance caring about others with caring about ourselves. Whenever possible, let's be good to others, but please be good to yourself too. Some of us have to make up for lost time. Today, I will strive for balance. I wanted to read that because one of the things I'm trying to do in this series is to emphasize the fact that the core of talking about technology as an addiction is for each and every one of us to do an inventory of our own personal self and our personal relationship with technology. Remember I said back in the beginning, technology has two sides to it. It can be something very positive and something very beautiful, but it can be very destructive and it can be very negative. But again, these are choices we have to make. And like everything else in life, we're always making choices. And so what I wanted to do is basically take the concept of codependency, connect it to technology, and basically deal with the three basic tendency traits and characteristics. Excuse me. Right there. Like we're getting that little frog that visits me every once in a while. When we talk about codependency, remember I mentioned in most of my talks about the difference between the three survivor skills: isolation, fantasy, and caretaking. Now let's take those three and connect them to addiction. To technology and addiction. We have to look at both sides, the negative and the positive. We look at isolation. So many times people who are scared to death to face life, face reality, and deal with reality. Technology has become a tremendous tool to avoid, to hide, to isolate, and to literally run away from life. I don't know about you, but I know in my own life, I realized this because when I was in the priesthood, the one thing I did not want to deal with was my issues. And so as a result, I isolated in very many different ways. And I would never, ever, my biggest fear, and fear comes into isolation, my biggest fear was that people might find out who I really am. They might find out about the inside. And so you have to we have different ways of hiding. Isolating is a good way of hiding. Now, technology, I can use my machine, my phone, my computer, TV. I can use a lot of different aspects of technology to bury myself in it until totally eliminate having to interact with or deal with human beings. And that comes from fear, that comes from anxiety. And so yes, it can become an addiction in that way because it's my tool I use. So I have to really look at myself at the same time to stay away from anybody else who might want me to look at myself. Now, the positive side of it is the fact that we can use this concept of technology in a very positive way. There are times in life when you need to get away from the busyness and the craziness of life and find a place to be quiet. So isolation can be something very good, to be quiet. I can use the concept of technology. For example, on my phone, I have an app called 12-Step Meditations. And I love the app because literally I can put that app on and I can listen to a beautiful, beautiful way to do meditation, to stay close to my connection to the higher power. As a result, then it's time for me to spend time alone and basically to be able to experience something positive. I can also use that particular app because they also have different areas you can go into. For example, they have different types of things connected with different types of recovery. So it could be a great learning tool. They have different speakers, things to that effect. And so literally I can use that concept to really develop myself and develop who I am as a person. And again, there are other apps too, different ways in which I can use things. But the secret is balance. Here we go again. I have to be able to balance the two. The negative is going to happen to me every so often because sometimes you know this, I know this. You're in a situation where we just want to run away. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. And I can block it out and do whatever I want to do. And this can be a great way of doing that because I can literally go into my machines. I can lose myself. There's a time and a place for all of this. You know, I know in my own life, one of the things I love to do, and to me, it's my personal thing, every so often when I'm overstressed, I like to go basically on TV. I keep them taped and not taped, you know, the DVD thing, whatever that thing is. I record them. Well, I'll figure it out one of these years. I record them. And I have different cowboy shows. I like half-an-hour cowboy shows, like, you know, Gunsmoke, Lawman, different little things like that, and a deputy. Basically, what I'll do is I'll say, I need my half-an-hour fix with my cowboy show to bring myself down, to settle myself down, and just to relax. So I can use it in a positive way, I can use it in a negative way. I can also decide I don't want to deal with anything. I want to avoid and stay away. And I can live in front of the TV for the next 22 years. So isolation is scary, but also brings out something else. A difference between two words, which is really important. Loneliness and alone. See, loneliness is something where I don't want to have to face things in life. And so I can use different types of machines. I can use technology to avoid, to run away from life. I can even use it in a very negative way to put myself totally into the intellectual world. Or I can use it to learn different things, but basically not have to put them into practice. You know, you've heard the term sometimes called a professional student, which means, you know, I can do research, do things on there's so much stuff on YouTube and Google and stuff to that effect, where I can actually research all this stuff, but never apply it, never put it into practice. But the secret is, in a positive way, do the research. It's good, it's healthy, you learn. But then, can I put it into practice in my daily life? Can I interact with other people? Can I share the gifts I've learned? Am I able to sit down with people, have conversations, and talk about things? So it means I have to take the stuff I learned and bring it to another dimension. But if I just stay in the one dimension, then it does become an addiction, it becomes a way to run, a way to hide. The second area we talk about is fantasy. And I've learned over a while that there's so many ways to literally use fantasy as a way to run and hide from life. One of the things I find very powerful are these different games and these different, you know, videos and things of that effect, where I can literally, you know, get myself so much involved in, you know, taking on the world, blowing up ships, doing all kinds of stuff, war games, all kinds of crazy stuff. I can also use different games to avoid having to think and work on life. You know, it was interesting yesterday when I was at the golf tournament. I had a few minutes, so I picked up my phone. I looked at it and I said, I got 7 different apps on here of different games. I don't play these games. I don't know where I came from. And so I checked a couple of them out. And one of them was actually scary. So I decided to uninstall all of them. I have more room on my phone now. The beautiful part about it is you can use these things as entertainment, positive, or I can use them as avoidance, running, and hiding. And many people who literally do not want to deal with life because they have so much pain, so much struggle going on, can literally bury themselves in looking at all these fantasy games. We see this also so many times where people get into the fantasy world, even sexually. And the negative part about it is I can go into this world and I can literally lose myself in it. You know as well as I, anything can become an addiction so quickly, it's unbelievable. It's a way for me to run, to hide. We have seen this a lot of times, a lot of people in addiction. When they get it, they put one drug down, they pick up another drug. So the concept is technology can be another drug that I can use to basically go into these games and things of this effect. And after a while, I become so addicted to them, my whole day is being completely consumed in them. And so there has to be that balance. The games are great. If you basically need a break, you want a little stress relief, fine. I've always said this about fantasy. Fantasy is okay, as long as you know it's fantasy. When you make fantasy become your reality, you get lost in it. Then literally can take over your life. And the unfortunate part is today, with technology, there's some pretty scary stuff out there. There's pretty scary stuff in different areas of life, especially in some areas. There's things called chat rooms. There's all kinds of pornography, stuff to this effect. I can also use it on a negative basis to create a fantasy of my own self. It's sad sometimes to see people putting themselves out there on things like Facebook or Instagram and things of that effect, and actually showing themselves how good they look sexually and everything else, and basically put themselves in jeopardy so many times. And so I can use it negatively or I can use it positively. I can use it to enhance myself, to learn, and to experience good stuff from it. But again, there's that balance again. Everything I've got to do in life centralizes around balance. Goes back to the yin and the yang. I need to be able to acknowledge the negative, be able to get in touch with it, to realize that it's there, but then be able to balance it with the positive. And so as a result, then, we live in a world that teaches us different types of things. I can also be very careful because technology can be used as a way. We use the term scams, we use the term games, and a lot of people have used technology to actually tell you, I have the magical answer for you and everything. All you have to do is get in touch with me and let me know. I will solve everything for you. I saw an ad on Facebook the other day where they're selling this pill. If you just take this pill every night, in 7 days, your belly will be gone completely. Okay. But again, a lot of people have that fantasy that I can use magic or something to this effect to get everything taken care of. And we see a lot of this stuff. And so I can actually create for individuals and people magical answers to everything, go into that fantasy world. And then basically, because maybe I'm hurting so badly, I want to try anything. Next thing you know, my credit card's running up all kinds of bills from buying into all these schemes and things of this effect. And as a result, you even wonder sometimes. But again, I think we live in a world today where we can almost sell anybody anything. We talk about that magical concept. And I've learned over the years, there is no magic. There's hard work. And yet we have to realize the fact we got to be able to balance it out. But I have an addictive personality. My wife will tell you. Every once in a while I see something and right away I want to grab the magical cure. And then my wife will look at it and she'll always check it out. And then she'll go down and say, here's the bottom line, Vince. Look how much it's going to cost you. So I'm glad I've got somebody to help me balance it out, because my compulsive personality could fall very easily for all these fantasy schemes and games and stuff to that effect. What have we done? On a negative side, a lot of people are using this to be able to make money, to be able to get over on people. And that's sad. And that's why we have to be able, deep down inside of ourselves, to be able to balance out and know what's real and what's not real, what works and what doesn't work. And so that balance is always there. Because again, this is the real world that we live in. It's going to affect you in different ways. If you really are part of Facebook, you're part of all these different social media things, you're going to hear different things. It's the same thing. We can use social media in many ways. I can use it to isolate, back to the first part. I can use social media as a way for them to tell me exactly who I'm supposed to be, when I'm supposed to be it, and how I'm supposed to be it. And we can get into politics, get into religion, get into a lot of different areas where I can use social media to manipulate, to bring people to what I want them to believe. When in reality, I have to learn, I have to be able to discern and work through stuff and realize I can't put my power in these magical social media games, and be able to have a sense of balance in my life. I can learn something, but am I the kind of person that will look at all different points of view? Or do I just stay in this little world? Because I feel safer in that little world. See, the codependency traits are very powerful because many of us want that fantasy. We see it in advertisements today. The magical gambling apps, the magical solutions to everything. If you just buy into this app and you do this and you do that, you can win this, you can be safe for life, you can take care of this. But basically, what are we doing? Instead of me doing the work and having a sense of balance, I'm going to all forms of technology to avoid, to get lazy, to get comfortable, and to look once again for that magical solution to everything. Even in the caretaking area, I can use things negatively, I can use them positively. I can use technology in very many ways to literally use it to try to take care of other individuals and people. Good ideas in parenting. A lot of parents, to avoid having to deal with their kids, give them one of these and basically tell them it's a good way for me just to put them in a corner, let them stay busy with it all day long. I don't have to deal with them. I don't have to really do parenting. I let the machine do the parenting for me. And what am I doing? As part of a caretaking thing, I don't want to have to listen to them and get involved in this, so it's easier just to give them a toy, something to play with. And so many times what happens is we have a tendency to use this as almost a babysitter, things to that effect, instead of using it positively for education, but not necessarily, for the concept of just using it to manipulate, to control, to create fear and anxiety. It's really important. Again, I can use it to learn different things on how to, there's great YouTube channels where you can learn how to do some plumbing, to do different things, to be able to learn the little technical things to do. You can learn how to be able to do things in a much more positive way. Or I can keep looking for those YouTubes and things of that effect that will tell me the answer to everything, but not really help me. And so I can run into that fantasy world, that caretaking world, that anxiety world, that tension world. What's so scary about technology is it does have this double-edged sword. We live in a world today, we're becoming so dependent on technology that as a result, we are giving up many of our personal skills. For example, why don't I have to write anymore? Somebody told me the other day when I post my meditations in the morning, they said, why do you take the time to write them and then to put them on and spend time to type them on individually? Why don't you just use a speaker thing? You can just speak it right on and go right on. But no, I learned something. When I literally write them and then I actually put them on slowly, I learned them. They become part of me for the day. So I've learned, yes, I can look for the quick, easy way. But how can I use this as a tool so I can learn and develop things in a much more positive way? And it's amazing how this works, because I really learned this a long time ago. It's helped me to keep my mind going. You know, I get scared sometimes because we live in a world where things like Alzheimer's and dementia are becoming much, much more common. And as a result, basically, I think it's because so many times we stop using our mind. We stop developing it. We stop having the energy of creating new things, developing things inside of ourselves. And as a result, then we basically leave it to everybody else to do for us. But you know, we need to have an inquisitive mind. We have to have a mind that open up doors and find out things. I don't want to ever be done. Unfortunately, a lot of people go into retirement because of loneliness and emptiness. They end up spending the whole day just maybe watching TV shows or looking around and being scared. No, get out there, get some friends, go do some activities, be involved in things. We need a life, we need to live, we need movement to be connected in different ways. People laugh at me sometimes because I'm in charge of the custodial committee in Holiday City, where I live, 55 and over community. And I love it because I actually have gotten together some retired carpenters, electricians, plumbers. I don't know how to do these things, but I've learned how to be a gopher, which means I can call on them to do stuff. And I become the person, the gopher, go get this, go get that, take care of this. So as a result, then, literally, I've learned so many different ways I could do things now. I've got some great mentors that taught me. So by being involved and finding out and watching others do things, I can grow, I can learn, I can develop things in my life. And I'm grateful. And technology has taught me that I can use things in a positive way. I use technology for my 12-step meetings, and I love it. But I also like some in-person stuff. I like to balance it. Like I'm speaking at a big AA program this weekend, but it's in person. I spoke in an AA jam a couple of weeks ago. It was in person, around people. I got to interact, connect with people I haven't seen sometimes for 20 years and 25 years. And so there's that balance. At the same time, though, I can use this to open up my vision to be able to connect with people in different parts of the world. My home group on Friday, we have a speaker coming in, and she actually is coming in from Japan. So literally, what are we doing? We're learning about different things from different people and different cultures and different areas of life, so we can open up doors. And so we have to be able to use that concept of balance, because I can become very codependent on the whole concept of technology. But can I sort out the negatives and the positives and look at them? Now let's take it down to our own personal lives. Ask yourself some very simple questions. What is my personal relationship with different forms of technology? What's my personal relationship with social media? What is my personal relationship with different areas? Am I able to have a balance? Can I use it in a positive way? But do I have another life? Do I have a life where I can interact with people on a personal level and be able to be connected? You know, it's interesting. I come to starting point three days a week. You know why? I like being around people. It keeps me active. It keeps me alive. At the same time, 2 days a week, I work on Zoom, seeing clients in that direction. So I get a balance of the two. And now I see some of the people I met on Zoom, I can see them personally. So it's a good, I try to keep somewhat of a good balance between the two because I realize it's a great tool. I've connected with so many people all over the place. It's wonderful. You know, as I told you many times, you know, I connect with my sponsor in the program in California. I connect with other people in different areas of life. I've learned so much. At the same time, I have people I can interact with on a personal level. I love going out to breakfast with a bunch of crazy guys that I go to the gym with in the morning. Why do I go there? Why do I interact with them? Because it's the human connection that is so important. I don't want to lose that. And it's sad sometimes when we get to a point where I lose my human connection and I literally begin to go into the concept of I want everything to be connected to some sort of a machine. And then I get myself into trouble very easily with that. So many of us also become victims as a result of this. You know, we live in a world today where technology is being used. We see this with scams and different ways of life. And we have people today that have become extremely good at doing this, of manipulating. And especially one of the areas they really pick on are senior citizens because of their loneliness. You see, I can let you know if you just click on this website, I'll be able to show you all the good things you can do for your life as a senior citizen. I can give you this, I can do that. All you have to do. I mean, there's a poor lady, as I'm sad in my development, you know, who fell for one of these things and ended up mailing out a check for $22,000 to someone. It's just scary. They drained her of everything after that. It's a real scary concept, but, you know, because I really believe, but again, I need that balance between both sides. Technology is beautiful and wonderful, but I also need that human connection. I need people. I need a community, people to belong to. You know, I'm grateful in a lot of ways that where I live, because we do sit outside and talk at nighttime. We do sit outside and yak and talk with each other. You know, like the things we used to do years ago in the old neighborhoods. And so we need to be able to keep working on that. And so again, take the time, and this is the most important thing, take the time to take a look at your own personal life and how your personal life fits into this aspect of technology. Do I give my whole life over to technology, or do I use it as a tool for my personal growth and my recovery? Use it as a tool for my personal development as a person? Do I use it to learn, to experience new things in my life? At the same time, am I able to take the gifts and things I learned from it and apply them to my daily, everyday life and living, to apply it to my children and stuff to that effect? Because I can use this for education, which is really great, but to use it in a positive way. But not to become so dependent on it that if, God forbid, it ever went down for a while, would your life continue? Would you be okay? Would you be able to function if all of a sudden everything, all the machines and everything came to a stop for a period of time? What would your life be like? Think about that for a minute. If tomorrow, you know, and not that I think this is going to happen, but if tomorrow, you know, the satellites stop working, different types of things stop working, and all of a sudden you are back into the world of darkness, into the world of development, into the world of having to use your brain again, having to really go back into that. Sometimes I look at this and I look at the Amish people and how they still are doing a lot of things in the old way. Not that I really want to do that, but I really believe deep down inside, maybe they're trying to tell us something, that we actually can exist without all this stuff. Wow, it's pretty powerful, And as a result, I have to do this inventory in my own life. Because I realize over and over again, I have to be able to open up the door and look at things in new directions. It's interesting because people are constantly saying to me, I'd rather just do therapy from my home. Well, that's okay, but you know what's going to happen in the future because this could happen. Insurance companies could decide to stop using technology for therapy and go back to in person. If they did, how will we survive? Different types of things. And so we have to learn to be able to go back and look at the aspect of life. Can I still do certain things without technology? Can I still work in different directions? Am I still working on developing my mind? So there's a lot of beautiful stuff out there to use with technology too for personal growth. But at the same time, to go outside and see the sunlight, to enjoy nature, to take a walk. It's sad, but I see a lot of people going for a walk with this in front of them like this. Put it down. Smell the roses. Look at people around you. Take a look at the world you live in. Enjoy something. Go to different shows and things to that effect. You always have to have this. What really scares me is I can't communicate without it. I don't want to have to talk to somebody constantly just on this thing. Sometimes I like hearing their human voice, having a conversation with them. And so there has to be a balance of two things that we do in the course of our journey. Always look at the good side. Like I told you before, one of the things about Zoom, I can actually do things because I really can't come and do nighttime lectures here again because I have a hard time at dark driving. And so I have to get somebody to drive me because those glaring lights, I can't handle too much of that anymore. That's what happens when you get old, what can I tell you? The bottom line is things change. And so as a result, then I realized the fact this is a tool. It's a way to be able to do things and develop things in the course of my journey. But at the same time, I have to realize I still need to go to some human connections to be around it. And that's why a lot of times I say, yes, I'm going to be part of a retreat weekend, connected with Matt Talbot. Over 100 men are coming to it. I'm great. I'm looking forward to it, to being around people, to interacting. So it's a whole different ballgame. So we have to be able to have that balance of the two, back and forth, the yin and the yang, and everything that we do in the course of our journey in life. And so take some time just to do your own personal inventory, to see where this fits into the journey of your life. Is it your friend? Is it something I'm able to interact with and learn and grow from? Or is it an addiction where I can't function without it? I can't think anymore. I can't do anything anymore without it. I have to maybe ask myself the question is, maybe I've got to take a couple of days and don't use it for a while and see what happens. See if the world comes to an end. Yesterday, for the first time in a long time, I didn't post something. People actually want to know if I was all right, if I was still alive. Unbelievable. It's amazing. I said, no, I just took a day off. That's all. The world didn't come to an end. I did get a few texts, though, is everything all right? Are you okay? That kind of stuff and everything else. Yeah. Every once in a while, I just want to not do it. In the world, nothing will happen. So do your own post. work in another direction. That's all. So it's all part of the journey we go on in the course of our thing. And so we can use it positively, we can use it negatively. Again, got to ask that question of myself, and then I'll put it out there for others. What is your personal relationship with technology? Is it positive? Is it negative? Is it balanced? That's the key to what we're talking about. Now, I'll try to put all this together next week when I talk about the recovery process and how to work it, which is really important in being able to get that balance that we have to have in the course of our life. So let us pray. God, we come before you today in prayer. We ask the God of our understanding, our higher power, our higher presence, to guide us and be with us on this journey. Teach us to look at life as this tremendous place where I can learn and grow so much, where I'm able to take the gifts I learn, be able to share them and connect them with others, to be able to sense a balance and joy in my life, to be able to play, to celebrate, to enjoy nature, to enjoy things around me. Please, God, help me. Help me to keep those doors open. Help me to realize that there's more to life than just constantly looking for the magical answer to everything. Help me not to be afraid to struggle, to have to work through the things I have to work through. For when I work through them, they mean more to me. Help me to learn from my struggle, to learn from life, to learn from the joy of life. Help me to look at this thing, it's called technology, and to use it in a positive way for my personal growth, and kind of move away from the negative parts of it. Just realizing over and over again that you are the architect, you are the guide, you are my strength. And through you, all things are possible. And so I pray today that all of us may be able to open that door and be connected to one another as we walk the journey of life together. I pray and I ask this in your name. Amen.